What's up, guys? Welcome into episode 22 for Locky Top Sports. I'm Josh. I'm here with my boy Naveen, who has been putting in OT this week for the brand here. So yeah, man, we're excited to be here. Excited to be anywhere. It's huge weekend for Tennessee baseball. We'll cover that a little bit, and then we'll also talk about NBA playoffs, which I know Naveen is looking forward to talking about. I'm sure as a Timberwolves fan, we're gonna follow up with our saga, our legal saga against our favorite PGA golfer, Scottie Scheffler, and then we're gonna dive into a couple things with the upcoming SEC football schedule, and just starting to turn the wheels here for college football in general. But we're gonna really focus in on the SEC because we're a Tennessee sports podcast, and some of these teams, both of these teams that we talk about today, we will share them as opponents this year, going into the 2024 season. And then Naveen wants to talk about some sports movies. We're gonna go into our top three favorite sports movies of all time, and kind of what they mean to each of us, and why we like them. So hopefully those of you that see this, listen to it, whatever, you guys can also drop in like what's your favorite. You don't have to do top three. If you want to do top three, you can. Top 10, it doesn't matter. But for time's sake, we're gonna do three, and just drop in there what's your favorite sports movie, whether it's Remember the Titans, Miracle on Ice. There's some good ones out there, Rocky series. So we'll hit those. And I guess my lead off today is, and I'm wearing it today. You can't really see as good, but this polo shirt does have the tri-star of the state of Tennessee. Today is June 1st, so that is the birthday of the state of Tennessee. So I just want to give a shout out and say happy birthday to the greatest state in the union. It's been a solid run, and you do nothing but continuously get better each year. Age like fine wine. So shout out to the Tri-Star State, my home, the great state of Tennessee. So that's what I wanted to start off the show with. And since we are talking about Tennessee, we can roll into some Tennessee baseball, because that is going on in the Volunteer State this weekend. It started last night with hosting the NCAA regional there in Knoxville. So your number one rated team in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers, playing host in the Knoxville regional, and they were playing Northern Kentucky last night. Naveen, were you able to catch any of the game last night?
Yeah, I was. I saw a couple innings. I would say that a couple things jumped out to me. It seemed like we had pretty much steady control by the fourth inning. I love to see runs being scored in almost every inning. There were, we batted 8 times. We scored in 5 of those innings. Big performances by, I guess, Tiers. Ensley hit a home run. Drilling hit a home run. Billy Amick hit a home run. So really some strong batting to go with some pretty solid pitching. I know it's only Northern Kentucky, but you can only play the people on your schedule. And we have, I guess, Indiana next. And I was looking forward a little bit. And looking at our side of the bracket, seems like we might be destined for a clash with VCU in the next round. So I do think that, as we advance further in these tournaments, we should see better and better competition, and I hope we carry this kind of streak forward. So, Josh, what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I mean, we got off to a really rocky start there. I think it was first or second pitch of the ball game, and it was a home run for Northern Kentucky. Mm-hmm. They smashed that right off of Chris Ramos. I felt bad for the guy, man. He only pitched 1/3 of an inning after that home run. Then he gave up a couple walks right after that, and Tony Vitello had seen enough. He said, "Go get me AJ Collsey. Go get him right now out of the bullpen." And what did he do? nothing short but come in there and just light it up there from the mound.
Mhm.
I mean, just a lot of solid strikeouts, a lot of solid pitching there to really eliminate any type of offensive production moving forward throughout the game. Northern Kentucky went on to score 2 more runs, but um, that's I'll take that. Some things that really stuck out to me. Obviously, we saw Billy Bats there really come alive after the walk fest that happened to give Tennessee the lead there. I think in the 3rd inning, uh, Northern Kentucky's starting pitcher's arm just kind of you know emptied the fuel tank, so to speak, and there was no more gas coming out of that arm. So he started walking some guys, and he walked in 2 runs. So they gave Tennessee the lead, and they never looked back there from 2-1. But then, you start that 4th inning, we get some guys on base, and then you had Billy Emmett come up, hit that home run, really put us in control of the game. And then Dylan Dreiling also smashed last night. He had 3 hits for us. And, Kavares Tears does the things he does. We had a lot of good, I think, at bats last night. There were some things that stuck out to me that I want to see us kind of clean up as far as swinging and at first pitches. Like I get it as a baseball player. If you see that big watermelon coming down the strike zone, you want to smash that thing. But I think when we get into deeper into the postseason, we really need to sit back on that first pitch and kind of look at it, unless it's just tailor made to hit that thing, because we were getting in a bad spot in a lot of counts early on in the game, and you weren't putting a lot of reps on that arm. But when we settled in, you could see the fatigue start to settle in on the arms of Northern Kentucky, because we were being more disciplined at the plate and having longer at bats. Driving up the pitch count on their bullpen. So it's hard to be nitpicky, and I know that's sometimes what I do. But it always can't be sunshine and rainbows when we look at the breakdown of the entire game. But I will say, shout out to what Tennessee did last night. They took care of business. They wound up winning 9-3 over a conference champion. They're in the postseason for a reason. They're a good team, even though they're from the Horizon League. But today, Tennessee takes on Indiana. They'll be playing, I think, first pitch is at 6:06 Eastern time there in Lindsey Nelson. So we have a great opportunity to go ahead and secure our seat there in the finals tomorrow night. And I think Tennessee has a great shot at beating Indiana. What do you think some of the keys to success going into tonight's game is going to be, Naveen?
I think we missed this, but I do want to say that we're SEC tournament champs.
Yeah, that we haven't talked about that yet, but we can close that out and do a victory lap over LSU. That's right.
But if you're asking specifically about Indiana, I think that they're a solid team. They won their regional. Should be a little bit more of a offensive firepower than Northern Kentucky. So with that being said, really we got to focus in on pitching. We got to also focus on what you said, Josh, like make it as difficult as possible and as miserable of an outing for the Indiana pitchers as possible. Like in baseball, at least when I was growing up, you're taught to kind of extend at bats, see what a pitcher is doing before reacting first. Obviously, like your second or third time at the plate, I think is a different story than like your first couple go rounds. You have an idea for how things move, especially coming from each individual pitcher. But that's very important to extend their outing and make it difficult.
Yeah, and I think Tony will probably throw, 2 or 3 guys tonight. I don't know if we've named a starter yet, but I kind of forecast him doing the same thing that he's done in all these weekend series. So we'll see what it shakes out to be.
Mhm.
But every time I get worried, it, it's weird how he being Tony is just such a magician when it comes to okay, the feel of the game, when we need to make a change. And I think that I used to be a little bit more critical about that with the pitching. I think he's done a lot better job of that past like the mid to late part of this season. I mean, last night, like I said, I mean, our
Yeah,
starter got a third of an inning, and he was like, "All right, you're done." So I think he's got a really good thumb on the pulse of his team right now. The lineup from 1 through 9 is really kind of settled into their roles, and offensive performance has continued. Last thing, as far as being critical on some of the things that I saw, we've got to quit leaving so many runners on base.
mhm.
Especially as we go forward. But I don't think Indiana's really got anything for us tonight. I think we're gonna go on and advance to the regional final. And I don't know, out of those 3 teams, Southern Miss, Northern Kentucky, and Indiana, who we'll see. But shout out to Indiana. I mean, they did beat Southern Miss. Southern Miss is a team that we played last year in the regionals. Or actually in the super regionals. I think it was because we played in the Clemson regional last year, and then we played Southern Miss in the supers, and that's where I was talking about a couple episodes ago. As we went to that shithole of a place called Hattiesburg, right? So Southern Miss had to come up to Knoxville this year, so it is a familiar foe. But with Indiana hitting them in the mouth yesterday in the first game of the regional, who knows if we'll get to see them again. Um, I'd sign up to play any of them. I did notice in the Greenville regional, right? Wake Forest lost yesterday, and
Mhm.
that does set up some problematic things for Tennessee fans that are a little vindictive and want a little bit of payback. We might not get to see DJ Burns, you know, come back to Tennessee and us be able to light him up the way that we wanted to. So
So do you think Tony's quick trigger last night on replacing the starter puts any tax on the bullpen going forward? Like we did have a bullpen player pitch 6 2/3, right?
yeah, I don't think that him being quick on the trigger did anything as far as negatively affecting the bullpen. I think we got enough arms, and we saw that I think last week in the SEC tournament. I think if we go back and look at the tape of what I was talking about, I was like, I'm kind of I don't know if I want to win the SEC tournament, which I'm glad we did. We got to, but to my point, we got to the game is like, okay, well, shit, we're here. We somehow found our way into this situation. Now that we're in this deep, we might as well go ahead and just win the damn thing. And that's
Mm.
essentially what we did, right? And you know, the poor Vandy boys, they thought they won the World Series when they beat us in that opening game the way that they did, and then we just come back and just ripped everybody, to
Mhm.
include LSU. That's become one of the strongest SEC baseball rivalries, I believe, in the conference. Tennessee and LSU. Obviously, both of us were in the College World Series last year, and there's just a lot of chippiness. There is a lot of mutual respect there between both those teams, but that comes with rivalries. But it was great to ruin the LSU party, because if you would have watched the games last weekend, like they were all over LSU's dick, man. Like the league, all the announcers. So it just was disgusting. They really thought LSU was going to come in there and beat the shit out of Tennessee last week, because they were, arguably they were probably the hottest team in college baseball going into that game against Tennessee. And then if you look at how that game the day prior with South Carolina wound up going. I think it went into extra innings. I don't know if you caught the end of that with that crazy ruling there at home plate with the balk and the given base. I've never seen that in baseball in my entire life, but LSU kind of got stiff there on that call, in my opinion. But then they come back out and the guy hits a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 11th. So it was
Ball
no
don't
harm,
lie.
ball don't lie, right? No harm, no foul. But your SEC tournament champions wound up being the Tennessee Vols, and it was based off the pitching man. So, like I said, I think Tony's got it dialed in. With the bullpen and Frank, our pitching coach. Yeah, man, I don't see anything being really sticking itself out as like a obvious threat to our pitching game remaining in this regional. So
Cool. I want to switch gears a little bit to the NBA playoffs. Really terrible outing from the Wolves. Wolves are my team, if you guys don't know. Kind of very disappointing
poor
end to
Wolves. Poor Wolves.
very disappointing end to a pretty good season, I would say, overall. I think we performed better than our expectation overall. But a couple points I want to talk about on that are two things jumped out at me. Either Karl Anthony Towns or Gobert has got to go. Either one of those two. I don't know how to solve the problem of Cat. Cat is someone who has talent, but I feel like never gets critical enough on himself to apply himself to reach the next level. He's an all-star, but he never plays or works on his work or claims to work on his game to the point where he improves and can change his style when things go wrong. That's the big thing I noticed. He came out in the media and after game 3 of this loss and after he went up until that series, I believe he went 4-32 from 3. And he's like, "Oh, I shoot 1,500 shots a game. I'm not worried, right?" That was just a little bit alarming, like to me. If things don't go your way and if you've missed 7 threes in a game, like find out other ways you can contribute.
Sure.
Um,
Maybe give it to somebody else.
give it to someone else, or just take a look
Go
in
to
the
the
mirror
rim.
and remember that you're
Yeah.
7 foot tall and get a little bit closer to the basket, man.
Yeah. What do they say? What do they say? Know your range.
Know your
And
range.
isn't that coach's nice way of saying, "Hey, you're not Steph Curry, bro. Like maybe go closer to the rim."
Yeah, and I think like the problem is like he has won a 3-point contest. He has that in his memory of doing that. And throughout the season, yes, he did hit a bunch of threes, but you have to be adaptable to win and survive and advance. So, and I just don't see that from Karl Anthony Towns. Gobert, I want to roast him a little bit too.
Yeah, he's got to go, dude. Out
He's
of those
fucking
two,
awkward.
he's got to go.
I think this defensive player of the year was one of the biggest robberies we're ever going to see. Victor Wembanyama should have won that, or SGA, or whoever you want to say. Like, dude, you can't shoot within 12 feet of the basket with Victor. Gobert, it's like happy time driving to the rim. You can't get him out on the perimeter at all, whereas Wembanyama you can. I kind of saw this series like just crush and crumble in front of me when Luka Doncic hits that 3 against Gobert in game 2. That's when I knew that shit was coming to an end. So,
Dude,
man.
that was nasty. I've never seen somebody put in the hurt locker so bad as he was just getting pieced up by Luka with that game-winning basket, man. Like, and you guys had it won. I mean, foul a guy before he shoots at something.
Yeah, exactly.
You were up.
We're up
There.
15 in that game. We're up like I think for the first 3 games, we were up with 4 minutes to go every game
Yeah, if
and
you if
punted it away.
I think if you guys won game 2, that series would have turned out a little
Yeah,
differently for
yeah.
sure.
So I mean that's my main point. Like one of the 7-footers has really got to go, and I think the second point was brought up on Kevin Garnett's podcast and also by Anthony Edwards. It's physical fitness this late into the rounds. You can tell by looking at Anthony Edwards, like he does not, his body is not cooperating with what he wants to do this late in the game. I was telling these guys in the group chat, like usually he's been in Cabo for 2 months by now. So he's not really ready to play in late May and late June. And he's made a vow to improve over
Or
time.
what? Brownsville, Texas?
Or wherever he is, man, like he's he is like, he was mentally, physically really not there later into the series. But that does leave us with Mavs versus Celtics. Luka
Who do you wanna
Doncic,
win? Who do you wanna win? Mavs or Celtics?
I'd like to see Mavs. I've no real connection to Celtics other than when Kevin Garnett won with them. After that, I sort of dropped off my Celtics bandwagon kind of activities. Mavs, they really, the stars came out to play in last series really well with Kyrie and Luka. Luka just like, kind of unzipped it and dropped it down.
Yeah. He
so
kinda did, yeah.
so yeah, that was great to see. Celtics, there's nothing exciting about them, you know. They kind of cruised to where they are in the playoffs, meeting with one uninjured star after another each round. And again, like they're not in control of that. But I don't know. I just don't like feel any affinity towards Celtics right now. Josh, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, so it's almost, like, growing up a Lakers fan, it's just so hard to even fathom rooting for the Celtics. But I'm kinda I don't know, I'm kinda against everything Mavs from their owner to I don't like Luka that much. Like, I think he's a good player for the league. I just don't like his mannerisms.
Okay.
Um, I think he's kind of like he's almost the Caucasian LeBron James.
He
And,
complains a lot.
dude, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. And again, I blame that on, let's get back up on the porch here, and tell an old man's story. But I think that I'm just a product of my generation of basketball, man. And I continue to see just a bunch of baby back bitches out there fucking crying all the time about, calls not going their way and stuff. And it's like, dude, like Kobe, Mike, they just put their damn head down, nose to the grindstone. Now I'm not going to say that Kobe and Mike never complained to the ref, but my God, they didn't jump up and down like a toddler that just got their binky taken away from them, because they wouldn't go to bed at the right time. So it's just like, come on, guys, like those are kind of the things when you're looking at the I guess the health of the NBA when it comes to ratings. Um, that kind of extracurricular stuff, it doesn't drive ratings up. I think it drives it down more because it's such an annoyance to watch grown men act that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as hard as it is for me to say it, I hope the Celtics sweep the Mavs.
Okay. That's one point of view. I think that what I noticed from watching Luca every game this series, because normally I wouldn't really like tune into a Mavs regular season game, is that he does a series of moves that combines James Harden's foul tactics with like the hooking of the arm with the Trae Young back that ass up into into the defender. That's like it gets the call every time, and it's pretty unstoppable. I thought we kind of eliminated that from the league, but Luca
Nah.
somehow gets away with that, and he does his like his juvenile style,
right?
backing the ass up into you.
The
Stopped.
the 99 to the 2000s. He knows what
Right.
it's about. But
Exactly. So that's annoying. But in terms of gifted offensive talent, it's tough to find someone better.
yeah, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from his ability to play the game of basketball.
Mhm.
It's the things that come, like I said, it's all his mannerisms.
Yeah.
It's not his game, so to speak, as far as his mechanical acumen of the game of basketball and how he implements that and scores at such a elite level.
Mhm.
But it's the other things. But when I do look at the Mavs, there is one thing. I do kind of like to see the this kind of redemption story for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Not the biggest Kyrie fan either. He's almost like the Kanye West of the NBA, but he is kind of been a journeyman after leaving LeBron and the Cavs. And for better or for worse, the way that he kind of navigated his career moves, and then the whole thing with the vaccine stuff, and we're on the back end of all these things. It's kind of plagued Kyrie with teams that he's been on, and it looks like he's kind of found his fit, man. So shout out to Kyrie Irving, man. He did it his way, like the song says.
Yeah.
He did it his way, and you got to take your hat off to Kyrie for that. So, and he's been performing. He has been really entertaining to watch. So, maybe not sweep for Boston. Maybe 4-1. Let Kyrie score 50 or something. Series goes 1-1, and then Boston wins the rest.
All right, Josh. I want you to take us through a
Oh gosh.
little bit of a
It's
uh, an update on what we know about these charges that were put on Scottie Scheffler for his incident in Louisville,
Yeah,
Louisville,
Louisville,
Kentucky
Kentucky.
at Valhalla um, during the PGA Championship, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Um, go ahead.
A couple weeks ago, we saw Scottie, and then last week I went scorched earth on the police officer, and after the first video of kind of what had happened released, and then there was the doubling down of the charges not being dropped. Then this week, obviously, they finally made it to court. And Scottie's attorney, I guess, had talked to the district attorney there in Louisville. Not sure what that county's called there, but anyway, there was some more footage that got released by the Louisville Police Department at, I think, the midway point of this past week, right before the charges got dropped on Thursday afternoon. I want to say, I can't remember. There was the Trump getting convicted for 34 counts of felony charges, which is kind of bogus. And then you had Scottie being, all those charges being thrown out. But I can't remember which court case it was and what day specifically. But I say all that to say this: the charges were dropped. Scottie's, free to go. He won't be charged with any of the, in my opinion, bogus charges that were being brought against him by the Louisville PD. I still stand by what I said on those police officers and how they handle it. But there was some interesting footage that came out this week, kind of showing how the police officer that was interviewing Scottie before they took him to the police station was, it was like, hey, you should have stopped. We're all wearing these yellow police vests. It doesn't matter who reaches in your car and tells you to stop. No matter what, you always stop. Because Scottie was like, I didn't know if it was who it was. I didn't know if it was a police officer. I didn't know if it was a somebody just directing traffic. Who it was. He said it doesn't matter. So he was basically trying to bait Scottie into kind of incriminating himself, right?
Yeah.
And police officers do that a lot. So trying to give you guys a little street law here. By no means am I an attorney, and I'm not giving you legal advice. When you get those silver bracelets put on you, shut the fuck up. All right. Don't say anything. Just like you're Mirandized. Don't say anything. And Scottie almost put himself in the hurt locker, so to speak, on a legal perspective, by just talking. And that kind of goes back to Scottie. He didn't know. Like he's just a golfer. He's just a dude. He's a nice guy. He was genuinely trying to convey to the police officer, no malice there, confused, but the police will use that kind of stuff against you guys. So please shut up if you ever get those beautiful silver bracelets on your wrist, because it can just make things a lot worse. Were you able to see any of the fallout on the social medias or in the news about this, Naveen? And if so, kind of what's your thoughts on Scottie getting all the charges dropped?
I think it just had to happen. It's a very, very dumb situation to be in for the Lexington police and Lexington, I guess, Lexington County or whatever the county is, DA. And then they can't really win from it. You know what I mean? And it's just a very bad look. If I was the person in charge, I'd want this to go away as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Seems like it was a huge overreaction by the cop. So you'd want this to sort of take care of itself, and ultimately, if I'm in charge of Lexington, if I'm the mayor, right, I want people to come back to Valhalla Golf Club.
Louisville, not Lexington. Louisville. It's okay.
Louisville.
I know people that live in New York and New Jersey and California don't really consider anything outside of those three places real. So it's hard to know all the towns. I know, man. I don't blame you. I blame where you're from.
So I would want people to come back to Louisville and come spend money, go to Valhalla Golf Club. And if they really pursued this, I don't see people looking at this as a destination anymore. And I would say like this would be a place you'd avoid in the future.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see that, man. Honestly, the town of Louisville did themselves no favors by any stretch of the imagination by arresting the number one golfer in the world. But there was some other golf news. We'll kind of shift gears, and not to try to get too macabre here, but I would be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to the family of Grayson Murray. I mean, we saw last week he was playing in the Colonial Golf at Colonial Golf Course in last week's, I think, Charles Schwab Challenge. I think that was the tournament last week, and he withdrew himself from the tournament on Thursday. And Friday afternoon had ultimately took his life, and that was really sad. So rest in peace, Grayson Murray. I know he'd been fighting a lot of mental health throughout his adult life, and his family had been there to support him a lot. But unfortunately, 30 years old. Sometimes you guys don't know what people are going through, so I would encourage people, just be kind. And I think that was one of the biggest themes that kind of came out of the world of golf outside of Scottie's whole situation with the Louisville police, but throughout this past week, and just moving forward, man. Like, again, you don't know what people are going through. Be kind, and just try to make the world a better place, man. Because mental health is tough. We live in a tough world, so my heart goes out to Grayson. 30 years old is too young to die, in my opinion, and he had a lot of life left to live. But I shout out to all of his colleagues there on the tour. Obviously, that's got to be really tough. You're playing with the guy on Thursday, and then he passed away the next. And then obviously his family. So RIP Grayson Murray.
Yeah, man. I think it brings up a couple things for me. Check on your friends. although they might be doing well in their careers or other things, you never really get a full picture for what they're going through. Try to get help if you can. If you don't feel comfortable, talk to your friends, talk to a professional, and yeah, just the more you communicate, I think the better in these types of scenarios. So if you're trying to improve on yourself and you're very down on yourself, then yeah, just definitely get help. And this type of thing brings up to life, like, even if you're a successful golfer, you could be very, very unsatisfied with yourself. Like Grayson Murray won the Sony Open in Hawaii this year. It's not like he
Yeah.
won like a
Tons of
massive,
money, it's
massive downswing or anything like that
yeah.
that we know of. But yeah, just look out, reach out, and try to get help and check on your friends. That's what I would say about that.
No, I second all those things, man. It's just tough because we're close to that age, and you think about it, it's just like you just end your life right there, man. I'm 30, almost 36 years old, and I couldn't even imagine, leaving this world at 30 years. So, just again, check on your people, and if you need help, reach out to anybody. If you're watching us and we don't even know you, if you're going through something, man, you know,
Yeah, we'll talk to you.
we'll talk to you. We don't care. So, so man, we got to do better by our fellow man, guys. Just again, just take care of each other, and again, rest in peace to Grayson, and shout out to his family.
All right. Switching gears a little bit, we're going to be covering two college SEC teams a year and going through their schedules. We're going to be doing it alphabetically. So we start, unfortunately, with the team in crimson.
Roll damn tide.
And Arkansas. So we'll cover two team schedules every week and kind of go through and predict wins and losses for them. Again, we'll start with Alabama, and I have their schedule pulled up. Let me know if we can see that a little bit better. 1 second. So we got Western Kentucky up first, 6 p.m. August 31st on ESPN. So I think this is an easy dub. No matter what turmoil is going on in Alabama, we don't even know we know who the QB is. That's about it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Tough to make a call with so many pieces not in there, but yeah, like I think this is a Western Kentucky dub. I mean, this is a Alabama dub.
So you think Bama's coming out, taking care of the Hilltoppers, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll buy that for $1, man. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to boil down to, Jimmy's and Joe's, and Alabama's got a lot more Jimmy's and Joe's than Western Kentucky does at the elite Division I level. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we'll chalk a win against Western Kentucky for the Crimson Tide. So, looking into so that's a week 0 game. That'll be on August 31st. And we move into week 1 on September 7th. South Florida, go Bulls, and shout out to former Tennessee offensive coordinator, Coach Golish. He took Bama to the wire last year, man. Alex Golish, man. I thought he was going to get the job done last year, to be honest with you. There was a lot of turmoil there with Nick and his quarterbacks. Didn't know what direction Alabama's season was about to go up to that point. And USF just come out just with their hair on fire, nothing to lose. And I thought it was going to happen there in a really unique game where you see Alabama traveling to a school like USF, right? So they somehow planned out a home and home series here, but you have USF going to Alabama this year. Naveen, a lot of people would chalk that up as a win, but you look at last year's performance from the Bulls against the Crimson Tide. Do you give the Bulls any shot?
Okay, so I'm going to tell a little bit of a narrative. So after they demolish Western Kentucky, the spread is going to be massive against USF for this game. I will say that Alabama will win at home, but USF will cover this spread. We don't know what it is when it comes out. We'll cover it when it does, but I think that's a good bet.
If you were giving future odds right here, what would you say it's going to be?
I think you're looking at 21.5.
I was literally going to say it. I was literally going to say 21.5. Listen, I don't know if there's any books that's got futures right now on Bama USF. Probably not. Hopefully, in the near future, you'll start seeing some. But if it's anything like that, bye. Okay, take that. You're gonna make some money. That's the whole premise, really, of Locky Top Sports here, and that's to give you the locks, give you the best bets, and we have continuously done that at a very good clip. And if it's anything close to 21 and a half, maybe even it's like 24, who knows? I'm saying I'm doubling down with Naveen here. I'm going all in. Buy that. It's going to be a value pick. The Bulls will go into Bryant Denny, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about a couple weeks ago when we were starting to talk about even some matchups with Tennessee and Alabama, and some other schools that will have to play Alabama, like Texas, whatever. They're not going to be intimidated, I don't think, by seeing Kellen DeBoer over there. I think it's going to be different because Nick Saban's not on that sideline. So, Bulls to cover, man, all day, every day. So, week 2, we have Alabama at Wisconsin. So the Badgers have been the absolute worst team in the Big Ten. I think outside of Nebraska, I think both of those schools probably are competing for the last place in the league there year in and year out. But Wisconsin, you got them hosting Alabama. What do you think this game kind of looks like, and what do you think the spread might potentially be there on a road trip out to Wisconsin?
So again, we got to go with the narrative. If you smash Western Kentucky, right, your line gets inflated for USF. And now if USF covers, right, let's say they lose by 14 instead of 21 or 24, whatever, you're going to have bookmakers kind of looking at this Wisconsin game as, all right, Wisconsin is bad, but this is Bama's first trip on the road under Kalen DeBoer.
Right.
This is going to be,
and it is a bit of a hike from Alabama to Wisconsin. It's not just going up I-75 or out, to Auburn, which is nearby. So
I think, given that they're going to give 17.5 here, for Alabama minus 17.5 at Wisconsin, and they are going to fucking smash that. You know why? Because they got Georgia coming up next. Right? And they need to get right in this game. They need to make sure that they're ready for the absolute onslaught that's going to happen with Georgia. So, dude, that's going to be a banger of a game, September 28th. So why don't we get into that one?
Go ahead, man. Yeah, take the lead on that one. That one's going to be a great game.
Yeah, like we don't get
I think maybe the buildup will be greater, but go ahead.
We don't get to see these two teams in the regular season. It's usually like, okay, the mark your calendars for
December, the first Saturday of December.
It's just the championship game.
Maybe the playoffs.
Maybe the playoffs. I think they get, this is a game in Tuscaloosa. Both teams will be 3-0, let's assume, right? But Man, I don't know. I think Georgia's in another league than Alabama. They'd probably give this as Georgia -3.
Why do you think? Just because of the continuity?
Yeah, the continuity of the coaches. They don't really get that many transfers out compared to Alabama. They get just get net new talent. I think Kirby has established himself as that kind of recruiter and transfer portal guy. He's kind of got the best of both worlds, right? In that respect, I just think it will be a talent, you know, carnival for Georgia versus Bama, and I believe Georgia will win this game.
What's your
Likely,
spread?
I think it's going to be Georgia -3, and Georgia will win by 7 to 10 points.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so my spread on this would probably be Georgia -7.5. Um, you know, I don't think at this point in the season we'll know enough about either team really to see any type of outrageous spread. I think Alabama probably has the potential, like if this game was played, let's say week 10,
Right.
that there to be a big spread, right? But this is the type of game that bookies love. They're going to print money. They're going to get rich off of this game. But anything outside of that one possession, go ahead and give it to Georgia, man. That's going to be it's going to be a great pick for you to do. So because I think Georgia's going to probably walk the dog on Alabama. All pun intended. 14 or more. That's
Okay.
I'm saying because you got to understand a couple things, right? You know, college football, is a lot different than the NFL. You know, the NFL is year to year. There's not really those true rivalries. I mean, yeah, you have like the Raiders hating the Broncos and stuff like that, Titans and Colts, and Patriots in Miami. But my point is, Georgia will be out for blood because they had they picked the worst Saturday to have their bad game last year,
Yep.
and that was against Alabama in the SEC championship. They got snubbed from the playoffs. They feel,
They owe them something.
yes, absolutely. They feel super offended that they got left out. They got some payback, and there's a lot of guys there still on that roster that's out for blood. And it's gonna be feast week for Georgia. That Alabama week, especially to be able to go into T-Town and do it and rub their nose in it there in Tuscaloosa. Alabama's days of being a perennial power in the SEC, I feel, are numbered. Um, I've said that a bunch of different times based off of my opinion on Kellen DeBoer and what he's going to wind up doing in Bama. But yeah, Kirby's going to be bringing his team down there, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a slaughter, man. So 2-possession game. Bye on that 7.5 or Naveen. So what you said 3.5, Naveen?
Yeah, three.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Take Georgia all day on that.
Okay, next up we got the Vandy boys.
Oh, that's going to be a 41.5 point spread.
Yeah, I was thinking of around 34.5, 35, that kind of spread.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
Yeah,
And it's in Nashville, so.
If you're a Vandy fan out there, maybe don't bring your kids to the game.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah, don't want to expose them to rated R content or rated NC-17, rated X type of stuff that you're gonna see. And now I think this is like the interesting 3-game grouping that you'll see for Alabama.
Oh yeah,
They got South Carolina on October 12th. This will be in Tuscaloosa. I don't think South Carolina is that good.
they don't have a fucking chance, Naveen.
They lost Xavier Legette as well, like their best receiver. That I believe
they lost your favorite quarterback.
Yeah, they lost the
Rattler.
The rat attack. They lost that guy. So I don't really.
What's Chase gonna do, man? It's gonna be a tough 3-9 season for South Carolina this year.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. So I'm gonna say Bama wins this game by about
I'm going
17
17 and a
points.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at
17
that.
points. So I think that would be a fair spread. And again, you'll get a little bit of discount betting Bama after they get smoked by Georgia. You know, the bookmakers maybe not a little bit as confident in Bama. You know, after that point. All right, Josh, you're gonna have to introduce this one.
Oh man, the third Saturday in October, baby, on the banks of the Tennessee River. Alabama's going to have to come up to Neyland Stadium and take their damn medicine. Look at me. I'm going to look at all of you right now in this podcast episode, and I'm going to guarantee you Tennessee will not only win this game by at least 2 possessions, right? But we will start our new streak against Alabama starting this year. And we're going to run it up, 8, 9, 10 in a row. So get ready. For all you folks that watch Tennessee and Alabama in the 90s, hey, here we go. Strap in. It's going to be the same thing. I take Tennessee minus I'm going to go minus 12 and a half.
Okay, so what do you think they're going to put the line at, though? Like, what's a realistic line?
It's just so it is really hard to.
I think it would be.
I think what they'll actually do is they'll probably put Alabama minus 3.5.
Yeah, let's think they're going to put Alabama -2, and kind of like
Bait you into that.
Bait you in to say, "Oh, Bama going to win by a field goal," and then they themselves are going to be taking fucking
Tennessee for 10 and a half, 12 and a half. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So betting for this long, I kind of know what kind of traps they're going to set, and I believe it's
super trappy. It is super trappy.
Yeah, that's the trap that I would do if I was in charge of my own book. All right,
but what do you think? What do you think, Naveen? I called my shot. Now, come on, now. What do you think? Do you think Tennessee gets the win against Alabama? Now, let's take the betting aspect out of it. Yeah. Talk to me about the game. What do you think? How do you think this plays out?
See, I don't think that it's 2 possessions. I think that
why not?
Because I do think that you need a little bit of experience at this point to like get the experience different of Milroe versus Nico. I think that
have you even thought about our defense and how good our defense is going to be this year?
Yeah,
probably going to have the best defensive front in the whole country this year.
I am worried about our secondary, man. I'm really worried about
it. We upgraded it pretty good with the transfer portal.
But then
it's not A+, but we only needed about B- with the defensive front or front 7.
Yeah, so my thoughts are that Tennessee wins, but it'll be by 3 to 7 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will be there, so we'll be able to witness it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're hedging your bet there a little bit. I understand. You are in the thick of what many of us call battered Vols syndrome. And I don't blame you, man. I totally get where you're coming from, but trust me,
that second half last year. Still have flashbacks about it.
Yeah, so. Cups on. As a true Tennessee fan, you never take the cup off because there's a swift kick to the nuts coming at some point. Yeah. But I would argue, Tennessee don't want to leave any doubt this year. They're going to want to come in because there's a lot of people that's kind of underestimating us this year, deservingly so, I'd say, after kind of taking a step back last year. But I won't spend too much more time on it. But I will say, I honestly feel that Tennessee has to exercise some demons against Alabama next year, and it's going to happen.
Cool. Let's talk about the next kind of 4 games or 4 or 5 games.
Mizzou, that's going to be a game for them too, man.
Yeah, like I think Mizzou, they lost a bunch of talent. They lost, a couple pieces on both sides of the ball. I do think that Alabama would beat Missouri, but it'll be a close game. Coming off a Tennessee loss, now, hypothetical schedule that they've lost 2 games, they can't lose another game, right? So they should be getting back on the get right versus Missouri.
Yeah, I hate Missouri's coach with a passion not known to many people. Eli Drinkwitz looking like a rugrat, Tommy Pickles. But I'll have to say I disagree with you there. I think Missouri is going to beat Alabama next year. And if you listen to any of the talking heads on SEC Nation or SEC Network, they'll even tell you. And I'm not saying they all know much of anything, but they would tend to agree a little bit that they think Missouri's going to be another 10, 11 win team coming into this season. And in order to do that, they got to beat Alabama, and I think they will. I think the line on that will probably be another one of them wacky lines. Probably Alabama -6.5. Then you see Missouri probably win by I don't know, like a touchdown or 10 points.
Okay, that's fair. All right, 4 games left. They got LSU, Mercer, and Oklahoma. I think they beat LSU.
No way.
You know,
Brian Kelly will lose his job if he loses to Alabama this year.
Okay. Mercer, that's a win. I don't think we need to spend much time about it. And then 2 tough games to end the season. This is a tough schedule, pretty much. Got Oklahoma at Oklahoma and Auburn at home. So I think they probably lose to Oklahoma in Oklahoma, putting them at three losses for the year. Josh would probably have them at 4 if he agrees with me. But yeah, that's going to be a tough game. And Auburn, it's always close. It's never really too definitive of a game there. So your thoughts on the last 3, Josh?
So you said Mercer was after LSU, right?
Mercer's after LSU. I think that's a win.
So that's a win. And then you got OU and Auburn to close it out.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I got. Here's what I got. Lost to LSU, they'll beat Mercer, and they'll drop OU in the Iron Bowl. The Right Reverend, baby. The Right Reverend. He's going to go and take the Auburn Tigers down there, and he's going to beat Alabama. So I got Alabama going 6-6 this year, buddy.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I think I'm at 9-3. Yeah, let me just confirm that. I have the loss at Oklahoma. I have a loss to Tennessee, and I have a loss to Georgia. Yeah. Okay. So Bama, somewhere in between 9-3 and 6-6.
Yep.
Okay.
I think they'll obviously go to whatever Tax Slayer Bowl or whatever, and they'll wind up winning that, and they'll have a winning record to end the season on 7-6. But I'm telling you, I feel like there's going to be a huge step back from the Kellen DeBoer, Nick Saban reigns here. So Nick Saban went 7-6, I think, his first year at Alabama too.
Yep. All right. So we got
poor Arkansas, man.
We got Woo Pig. Arkansas Pine Bluff, first game in Little Rock.
Dub.
That's a dub. away at Oklahoma State, I think that's a loss.
Loss.
Yep.
Absolutely.
This is actually interesting. Arkansas, UAB. UAB, they have a very explosive offense. I know I was betting a lot of their overs. So, I mean, it's UAB at home, but that could be tough for them. So,
I think
I
it'll
would,
be a close game. I think if you see a spread that's less than 7, stay away from it.
yeah,
Just stay away from it. Because
yeah,
that you're basically flushing money there. But I also think it'll go into how they perform against Oklahoma State. Sam Pittman, I think, unfortunately, is kind of at the end of his tenure here. He did bring Bobby Petrino back. Bobby Petrino, former head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. We all remember back. I think it was 2011, 2012, something. The motorcycle incident where he had the intern or whoever, the office secretary there in the football program on the back of his motorcycle. And we all know the iconic picture of him in the Sugar Bowl champions hat and the neck brace, and his face just rosy red from road rash. But yeah, Bobby has come home, and maybe he'll revamp the offense. But UAB, I think, is going to be I think it's going to be a win for the Razorbacks. So
okay. We'll do it in grouping of 3. At Auburn, I think that's a loss.
I think so too.
Yeah. I think it's a very difficult, underratedly difficult game to play in Auburn. Seems like they bring you into their swamp in Auburn, so I'm not confident that a team like Arkansas can win at Auburn. All right, so now they got a neutral field game.
Yeah, Jerry Jones, baby.
Yep, at Jerry's house.
Arkansas alum. Yep.
Versus A&M.
I think it's going to be a dub for Arkansas. I think they're
yeah.
going to win because Elko, he just got hired out at A&M. They're going to be rebuilding, so I think it's a perfect storm for Sam to catch somebody still trying to work through some things. I think that's like week 4 or 5 there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're going to get a win over the Aggies there at Jerry's World.
Okay. All right. So first Tennessee.
Smash. Tennessee's going to beat the shit out of them.
Tennessee is a lock as well. Yeah, I think Tennessee wins by at least 3 touchdowns, 2 to 3 touchdowns there.
Yeah, Tennessee will be tested. They'll have enough experience. I mean, we play NC State at a neutral site there in Charlotte to begin that. I don't want to take away from our Tennessee episode when we preview their schedule, but Tennessee will definitely have a little bit more experience going into that Arkansas game. So, yeah, go Vols all day.
All right. Then
LSU?
they got LSU at home.
Loss.
That's a loss. Mississippi State at Mississippi State. I also think that's a loss.
You think so? I mean, Mississippi State's, I think they're going into year 1 of their new guy.
Yeah, I think this
is their 3rd head coach in 3 years. Obviously, you had the Pirate pass away. Then you had they promoted the guy that was the defensive coordinator there last year. Then they fired him, and they got some new guy in Mississippi State. I don't even know the name of the coach, but I think it's a win on it. For me, I'm going. They're gonna take care of Mississippi State and get a win.
Okay, so we disagreed there. Then they got Ole Miss. Man,
Lane's gonna run through them.
Yeah, Texas. I think they lose that too. And then Louisiana
Tech.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech and Missouri. They beat Louisiana Tech and they lose to Missouri. So let me count that up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4.
I got them 5 and I got them 5 and 7.
So okay, yeah, 4 and
8.
4 and 8 for me. Okay, so those were Arkansas and Alabama. Again, we're running through each week. We'll do 2 team schedules. We started alphabetically, so next up on the list are the next order
Auburn,
alphabetically.
and I don't know who the other one. We'll look at it.
Yeah.
Doing the alphabet
Spelling
in
is
public.
hard.
Yeah, doing the alphabet in public is embarrassing and difficult all at the same time. So
Maybe Auburn, Georgia. I don't know.
Georgia, I think maybe. I don't
Yeah.
think we have any B's in there.
Florida. Florida will be.
Florida, yeah. EFG. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Auburn and Florida next week. All right. So kind of a lighthearted general topic for the boys here. We wanted to give some of our fans, who might not be very, very engrossed into college football, a chance to connect with us. We are going to be talking about our 3 favorite sports movies. The way I want to run this, Josh, is we'll go 3-1, and I'll do my third pick, you do your third pick, and then in that order. So at number 3, I got He Got Game.
He Got Game. Okay.
Yep. So we see Ray Allen and Denzel in this movie. Denzel is basically very troubled character. He goes away for prison, goes away to prison for 10 years, comes back to his son. He's released by the warden, basically on a deal that he has to convince the warden to go to big tech or big state, basically a college of his choice. And it kind of like very relevant for today, right? Like how corrupt the recruiting is, how much money is being thrown around. We see strong performance by Denzel. He's a fucking badass in this movie. Although he's definitely a villain, not the best guy. Usually see Denzel portrayed, kind of as a hero, but in this one, he's the heel. So I like it for those factors too. Some good production, good soundtrack, and you get to go on a recruiting visit with Ray Allen, and you see what kind of shenanigans are pulled there. As a young kid growing up, I was like, holy shit. This is what happens on a recruiting visit. That's sick. Hopefully one day I'll get recruited for something. Didn't pan out, but yeah, good to see. So Josh, you're number 3.
My number 3, man. It's a classic. It always pulls at your heartstrings every time you watch it. Another Denzel sports movie. It's Remember the Titans for me, man. Out of all sports, you've known me for many years now, man. I think I'm a big football guy, so it really encapsulates, a space and time where I think a lot of lessons that you learn in that movie could still be applied today, and kind of like the polarized, identity politics that we have that plague our society, and just kind of like the civil rights issues that we still encounter to this day. I think we're a lot better than we were in the 1960s and 70s. I think we're way better than that. But I will say, seeing the color barriers kind of broken down, and then kind of finding the similarities that we have with one another. And obviously in this movie, it being, being in high school, being a dude, being a football player, and just, all the commonalities that have that has, excuse me, coupled with, just learning that you're not that different from somebody just because of the color of their skin. So it's a movie that I love watching with my kids, from just the pure football aspect of it, and then also to learn a lesson on how to treat people that look different and might come from a different background. So love me some Remember the Titans, and love me some Denzel in that movie, man.
Yeah, man. I also was heavily considering that as on my list. Also, this got some really poignant parts to it. I remember
Gettysburg, when they go out to Gettysburg. Oh
when they
man,
go
that
out to Gettysburg, when Bertier gets hit. Just full range of emotions. Also, like low key, kind of like funny movie. Um, the world kind of gets introduced to Ryan Gosling, but he
yeah,
sucks.
that's right.
He sucks. It's the funniest part of the movie. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I can't cover my man." The bucket in. Oh shit, that was so funny. So yeah, I think it's got full range of emotions there. So it's a very complete movie, and that's one of those movies. It comes on cable, you're not changing the channel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a Disney movie that you can still kind of watch and still be able to kind of
it's not soft. Most Disney
yeah.
movies are.
Yeah, or they're super woke these days, and that's a problem that I have. Like, I don't have a problem with people, that obviously even from the narrative of Remember the Titans about different backgrounds, but it's just like some things you can go to the extreme, one way or the other. I like to fancy myself as someone that's kind of in the middle of that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think Remember the Titans definitely strikes a chord and is is a Disney branded movie that I can still kind of tolerate to watch.
Okay, I'll go with my top number two. My number two is Moneyball.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a strong one, man. I like that.
yeah. So as someone who does the analytics for my job, that's like our movie. That's our shit.
Yeah.
Uh, so it talks about the Oakland A's and how they basically don't have any money, so they have to figure out alternative ways to build a team. They go through little cut ups and mashups between actors playing and actual game footage that keeps it really exciting. Brad Pitt, low key man, he always hits for me. He don't miss really, other than recent years, and you have very strong performance from him. Also, pretty cool performance by Jonah Hill, where he's the stats guy, and he performs to a level that basically gets Oakland A's to win 20 games in a row, and gets Billy Bean eventually hired by Boston Red Sox. And full range of emotions, a lot of data, a lot of analytics, and it goes through a lot of stuff that I faced with my job. Like, how do you get people to buy into what you're saying? Like,
Right.
they're going to doubt you first, and then how do you prove to them with data what you're trying to say? So that's number two for me, Moneyball.
Okay. Yeah, Moneyball is not my top three, but it'd probably be in my top 10 for sure. I love me some Brad Pitt, dude.
Yeah.
Um my number two would probably be Field of Dreams. Uh, Field of Dreams, obviously starring Kevin Costner. It came out, I think, 1989. So it was like right. Yeah, I was small. I was a small dude back when the movie released, but I remember seeing it as a kid, and even I think Field of Dreams is definitely a movie that is timeless in the sense that you can watch it. It's almost like I recommend people reading books multiple times because you can read it at different points in your life and you can watch this movie at different points in your life and you get something new out of it, right? um you know the basically the footnotes of the movie, he builds a baseball field in a cornfield, or and the ghost of great players kind of come back and play there. He hears the voice in his dreams, if you build it they will come. Um and I think it was his favorite player in the movie was Shoeless Joe Jackson, played by one of my favorite all time like bad guy in movies, Ray Liotta. Rest in peace. I think he passed away last year, but um, anyway, they do a great job of that, and it kind of shows like there's way more to it than just baseball and the legends. His father had passed away, and baseball to him and his dad was such a vital part of their relationship. And I think you can apply that to anybody that's really passionate about sports, whether it be baseball, football, hockey, basketball. Sons and their dads, they just have that unique bond and relationship. And I share that with my children now. I mean, they're super fans of all the sports that I kind of like to watch, and we share a lot of meaningful time, watching games together, playing in the backyard. And so that's why I say it's a great movie that you can watch at different points in your life, from being a kid and kind of looking at it from the baseball perspective. Obviously, if you're losing a parent later on in life, the grieving part of that. And then obviously his dad comes back, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie. Kevin Costner's character gets to see his father in the field of dreams. So I think that's probably another one that pulls up my heartstrings. I can't watch it without getting a little misty eyed every single time. Field of Dreams, number 2 for me.
Yeah, I mean, my number one is a little bit of a cop out in the sense that it's the Rocky series. But I would say, everybody shits on Rocky 4. If I had to pick one, Rocky 4 might be my number one out of the
Really?
out of the ones. It ended communism. It's historically it ended communism. That's a fact. But no,
the Berlin Wall came down because of Rocky 4, huh?
Exactly, dude. So, in all seriousness, you see a guy come from nothing, build his life up. It's American dream kind of story. And yeah, like I would say that's my number one. Other ones I was considering in my list that didn't make it was The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. Depending on if you think that wrestling is a sport, I know Josh does.
Yeah, WWE, let's go. We're live.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack's strong. Yeah, I like that one.
Love that movie. Also, just comedy. I like Major League too. It's fucking hilarious. So, yeah, those are what to round out my list. Yeah, just give me your number one and give me ones you're like might be
okay. My number one has got to be Varsity Blues. Varsity Blues is by far like my favorite sports movie of all time. I mean, Paul Walker's in that movie. I think most people got R.I.P. to Paul. That, especially as a guy that played high school football, and I just I love the game. But there are a lot of things then in the movie that you kind of relate to, and you got John Boyd, as the coach, great actor. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Varsity Blues. I might even just after I get off the podcast, go watch it again. You got Billy Bob, Tweeter, all those. It's just a kind of a coming of age story, and you see it in every town, man. Whether it's in Texas, Tennessee, California, no matter what, and no matter the sport, really, you really can kind of look at Varsity Blues and see if you were an athlete in high school or in college or whatever, just kind of how people kind of go their separate ways after the coming of age. And that's kind of what that movie portrays. It shows how a lot of character was built with those guys before they, jump into adulthood. And, it is a funny movie, but there are also some very serious undertones there, which, young men from the ages of 17 to 19 really go through in our country, probably year to year, with a lot of life decisions that they have to make, whether it's what are they going to do after football? What are they going to do after high school? Are they going to go to college? Don't disappoint your parents. There's a lot of things that people can kind of relate to say the least, with that movie. So it was kind of in that genre, that era of like the American Pies and the Jackass movies and stuff. So and like all of the little, I guess, popish era movies that came out back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But out of all of them, man, I'd have to say Varsity Blues, definitely my favorite one. In my top 10 that kind of you were asking for, I would say huge Rocky guy as well. Love the Rocky movies. You can never go wrong with Apollo Creed and Rocky there in Rocky 1, and then just kind of the love story that Adrian and Rocky have. Man, there's just so much good in the Rocky series. That never quit, never say die. Big Rudy. I'm not a big Notre Dame fan, but I love Rudy, kind of underdog story. Miracle on Ice, I would say that was the second part of ending communism. If if Rocky IV tore down the Berlin Wall, Miracle on Ice destroyed the USSR as we know it. And yeah, I would also have to say, man, another one that I really like is Dodgeball. It might not be like a specific sports movie, kind of like in the spirit of what we're talking about, but dodgeball, it was one of my favorite sports in elementary school and middle school to play in gym class. And it's a hilarious movie that you could, I think, pop in at any time and get a good laugh from. Ben Stiller, great actor to kind of direct, and I think he produced that movie as well. So yeah, Dodgeball.
One last one that I just thought of right now was that probably a lot of the fans here haven't seen is I, Tonya. Basically,
Tanya.
Yeah, dude.
The figure skating.
Yeah, man.
I've not seen it.
Dude, excellent movie. They made Margot Robbie play Tanya Harding, so they made one of the most beautiful women in the world.
Golly, I need to
play one of the ugliest,
hideous creatures.
So it tells the story of how Margot's, Tanya Harding was crushing as a figure skater, but she basically did men's moves as a woman, but she never got the credit because she's poor and she didn't look beautiful. She didn't look very graceful, but very technical skater. Tells the story of how her and her girlfriend, or her ex-husband, conspired to injure Nancy Kerrigan. Big story in the 90s, I think about 94 or so, and then how her life spiraled from that point. I would say definitely watch it. Definitely going to be a very female heavy cast there.
Okay,
but banger of a movie. I, Tonya.
All right, I'll write that one down and put it away to kind of throw on at a late night while I'm eating a big old bowl of Lucky Charms when there's some silence in the house. I'll check out some Tanya.
Okay. All right, guys. We had a pretty packed episode. We talked about baseball. We talked about NBA. We talked about charges being dropped for Scottie Scheffler. And we started a new series here of going down and predicting SEC football records. Again, we'll do 2 a week alphabetically. And we kind of had a fun little ending to the show, which is talking about our favorite sports movie. We'll try to throw that in more, obviously, before the football season and the real work begins.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. For Josh and myself, Naveen, this has been Locky Top Sports. Go Vols.
GBO, baby. Let's go beat Indiana tonight.